Hello and welcome back to Suspended Fanimation. I'm your host, Dennis Bithoulkas, and it's time for Lovecraft Country, Season 1, Episode 7, I Am. So before I get started here, I'm going to take care of a little bit of business and then we'll get to it. If you like what you see here, like, share, and subscribe. If you're still on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the very end of this video. You're going to see a video pop up here. And basically what YouTube does, takes the algorithms of all the stuff you've been watching and tries to match it as best as possible. One of the videos, my vast video library, and pops it up there just for you. If you want to know when I'm going to be on live again next, you can put you can click that little bell down below there. It's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you. Best thing to do is go to suspendedfanimation.com. Take a look at the schedule I post up there every week. And I'm usually within, 15 minutes, half an hour of it. If something bad happens, I will put I'll redo that schedule as on the fly. I also have the links to my social media on there. So Twitter, Instagram, Patreon. No tiers say better than the Patreon, but there will be once I hit 1,000 subscribers, because I like to give you something if you're going to give me money. Also, the links to my YouTube channel here, my Facebook page, and my Facebook group page are all on there too, for those of you who still have Facebook. So that's all on there as well. So, spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Okay, look at that 3D. Ooh. It's in surround smell-o-vision. Okay, holy shit balls. That's all I can say. This episode. This episode was fucking amazing. Yes, Wally, that is a badass sign. That is actually from one of my mods here. That was from Viking Bitch, who's actually did this cool ass. It's actually a paddle here. So it works dual ways. You can beat the crap out of somebody with it, and you can also say spoiler alert. And welcome, by the way, Holly. So yeah, man. I mean, this was a fucking badass episode. It at first I was actually trying to see if Hippolyta might have been one of the women from the Hidden Figures, that worked for NASA. So I actually looked her up, because they have used real life people before. Bobo, who is Dee's friend, who was in the Ouija board there, who asked if he was going to have a nice trip, and it said no. He's actually one of the kids who got lynched down in Mississippi in 1955. It's a real life person, and his nickname was Bobo. That was in episode 3. Emmett Till. Thank you, Joe Greer. Yes. So that's why I was kind of looking it up. And no, Hippolyta is not a real life character. So yeah, it was one of those things. So I was looking her up, because she honestly does some fucking badass mathematics. Once she cracks the orrery, Hiram's orrery, and gets the key, and by figuring out that she has to actually rotate the planets in their right orbits and everything, in the right orientation on the axes and everything. Science, that's all I can say. And it was really kind of cool. We also get we have a little bit of story on Montrose, because Montrose and Sammy Sammy has spent the night over at Montrose's place. And of course, Montrose is trying to find any reason to sabotage everything. That pisses Sammy off, and Sammy's leaving just as Tick and Letty are coming in. And they see, and he's like, "It's true, you are gay." Is basically, he uses another slur, is what he uses. And that sets Montrose off, and who's like, I'm still your daddy out, and you'll not show me any disrespect and all this kind of stuff. And basically, like, he's gonna beat his ass. And Tick's like, "You're not fucking him out." And he goes, "Did Mom know?" And Montrose says yes. And so he takes off and leaves. So the reason why they were there was because Letty had a dream about Tick's grandmother as well, running from the fire from the lodge and carrying a book. And she actually was pregnant. Letty herself was pregnant, and she ends up burning, and she wakes up from that dream, and she's like, "Well, what do you think she's trying to tell us?" And it's basically what she's trying to tell you is, you're pregnant with my grandson's child, is what's going on. You got my great grandson in your belly. and now you can actually see the same visions that Tick sees. So yeah, deal with it at this point. Um yeah, but Letty's the one that gets the information from Montrose, of course, that how he found out about Tick's mother's family was through a cousin of hers that also survived the riots, and actually a friend of her cousin's who lives in St. Louis. So of course they're going to go down to St. Louis and do this. Um, but of course, Hippolyta's got other plans, and she's taken Woody out to go and investigate the orrery because she has found where to go with the orrery. She gets a key and directions on where to go. So she's like, "Fuck you! You guys are taking the bus," is what she tells them. And Tick ends up going by himself because Letty needs to take care of some family business as well. But this is all about Hippolyta on this stuff. Let me get Tick stuff out of the way first and Letty stuff out of the way, and then we'll get to it. Um, yeah, Ruby ends up talking to Christina, and Christina basically tells her that, hey, we need to find some pages from the Book of Names. And she actually shows William's body and the other woman's body that, Ruby had been inhabiting, and saying, yes, I've been using their blood in order to make that magic work. And Christina says why she's been doing this, that at first she was learning magic to impress her father to get into the Sons of Adam, but when he killed William, it became a revenge thing. And she's like, yeah, fuck him. I started learning magic for me. And she says, if we find the other pages, not only are the other pages for the Book of Names important to me, but they're important to you and your family, is what she says. So Letty somehow is in this as well because of her bloodline. We don't know what it is. We just know that that little bombshell has been kind of dropped in there as well. So you got to bear with me. There's a couple different moving parts in all of this, and it was fired at as fast and furious at this point. Tick, in the meantime, has gone to St. Louis, and he meets the friend of his mom's cousin, who was a churchgoer and everything, and they had a picture of her friend there. And actually, I need to take a look at my notes here to see what her name was, because I blanked on it for a second there. Ethel. There we go. So Ethel, Tick's mother's cousin there, actually has a birthmark on her arm that he sees in the picture, which is the exact same birthmark that he has on his back. And while Letty is talking to Ruby over at Hippolyta's house, because Ruby is watching the kids while Hippolyta's gone, she gets a little bit nauseous, goes into Hippolyta's room and finds the orrery. She immediately calls Tick and says, she's in big, deep shit. She's probably gone off someplace else. She's not doing guidebook stuff. She's off doing something else. You need to help her. Sure enough, Hippolyta has gone down to, oh God, now I just blanked on what that was too. Hippolyta goes to Mayfield. There we go. And finds a giant machine that it looks like it's inside of an observatory. And she puts in the key, sees that she needs to do calculations. So we see her doing like all these calculations and everything, having to deal with mass, velocity, basically planets of how they are turning. And she finally finds something and actually turns everything and gets it running. But as she gets it running, Lancaster's cops come in. They're like, yeah, we're supposed to look over the place. It's a giant machine, but it's not running. He goes, who the hell's turned this thing on? And they find her, and they're about to do some harm to her when Tick arrives, and fisticuffs ensue. And one of the cops, we start seeing portals start opening up with all these different places popping in the air, just in thin air. And one of the cops gets sucked into one of the portals, and Hippolyta shoots the other one before she gets sucked into a portal and winds up with these beings that look like they're from the future. And they're basically asking her who she is, who are you, what is your name, kind of thing, and who do you want to be, and where do you want to be is basically who are you and where do you want to be. And she ends up going, name yourself. Thank you, Penn. Yes, name yourself and where do you want to be. And um, she first goes and says, Josephine, I want to be dancing with Josephine Baker in Paris. And boom, she gets transported onto stage, dancing with Josephine Baker in Paris. And she lives there for a little while and starts learning and all this stuff. And finally, she ends up shouting out, I am Hippolyta. She, once she's been there for a couple of weeks and all that kind of stuff. And she disappears again and winds up in, I'm thinking it was Africa, is where she was. And she's being trained by all these women warriors to fight against white colonials coming in. And she does a fucking badass job, man. I mean, she kills a whole bunch of colonials, but there's a lot of them and they've got guns and everything and they're rushing towards them. And she finally realizes, she goes, I am Hippolyta Freeman. I am George Freeman's wife. And she ends up in the morning that George, took his fateful trip. And she tells him everything. She basically tells him, um, the mathematical theory of multi-worlds and multiple dimensions, all this kind of stuff. And he starts going, well, am I even real then at this point, is what he's asking her. And then she also says, kind of the most poignant thing is that she's been shrinking all her life and that she thought that he had seen that and was going to help her, and he didn't. And that, she was shrinking still at his benefit. And he goes, yeah, he goes, I now realize that. I'm sorry. He apologizes. And, he wants her to grow. And by the way, the beings had put some stuff into her wrists, these two devices, I guess, in her wrists. And she takes George's hand and it gets enveloped in some kind of ethereal mist or whatever. And they end up almost like in Dee's comic book, which is what I took the thumbnail from. And they're exploring the galaxy. And we find out that basically she has become enough where she can now actually converse with the beings that she had run into before. And that she's now at the point where she doesn't need those devices anymore in her wrists and can be assimilated into their society if she wants. And she's like, well, I kind of want to go back to Earth. I want to go back and help out who Hippolyta is supposed to become, is what she says. And, sure enough, she kind of breaks apart. And then we see Tick pop out of one of those portals. And he's carrying the book Lovecraft Country in his hand. And there's sirens wailing in the distance. So he's trying to turn off the machine as fast as possible. And he's looking for Hippolyta, calling her out. He can't find her. So he turns off the key and takes the key and turns off the machine. There's a dead cop there, one of Lancaster's cops, who's lying on top of Dee's comic, which has her name on it, Dee Freeman's comic. And that's where we leave off on the episode. So damn good episode. I mean, this is kind of what I look for in sci-fi, where I want something that's this kind of outlandish, but also this kind of mind-blowing as well. And also having like self-discovery in there too. It had a little bit of everything in this, and it's really well done. I'm thinking now, this is one of my favorite series that I've seen on TV so far this year. This might have actually popped up even above these guys, Doom Patrol behind me here. So, and that's saying a lot, quite honestly. So, and in no small part to this episode, really. Very well done. Yeah. I know, Penn. I was surprised too. I was thinking about it and I'm like, yeah, um, Joker says, I've been a fan of the actress ever since Quantonic and Undercover Brother. Oh, that's right. Yeah, that's right. She was Undercover. That's right. She was Sister Girl and Undercover Brother. That's right. Now I remember. Okay. Yes. I love Undercover Brother, by the way. That is one of my favorite movies. And yes, I forgot that she was Sister Girl in that. God damn. Okay, I knew she looked familiar. Yeah. Wow. Yeah, this is a great series. This is honestly a great series. We get sci-fi, we get horror, we get history mixed into it. We get folklore as well. We get all kinds of stuff kind of wrapped into it. Also, yes, there is racism in it, but it's historical racism showing you what happened. And also, I mean, racism that's still happening now too, but it is showing you, it's not varnishing it, it's not playing nice with it either. It's showing you, yes, this shit did go on, but it's kind of side by side with the horror that is, being presented as well, the Lovecraftian horror or the sci-fi, all that kind of stuff. And that's actually, they do it so well. I don't know, uh I don't know if you could think of anything else that would actually come close to this. So, damn good stuff. Yeah. And also the music selections too. The music selections were awesome. And every episode, quite honestly. The music is also good. I mean, it's just a good, it's a good series all the way around. I can't say enough about it. So, what else do I have going on this week? Tomorrow I'm off. Tuesday is going to be an episode of Is It Worth My Time? And this time around, I'm going to do Utopia on Amazon Prime. Yep, Utopia is what I'm going to do. Wednesday, I'm going to be off. Thursday is the season finale of Raised by Wolves on HBO Max. Friday is going to be The Boys, a new episode of The Boys. Saturday is Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I take the genre news of the week and any genre stuff you guys want to talk about when we talk about it. And then, of course, Sunday is Lovecraft Country. We come right back around again. And if you haven't seen the preview for this week, go and watch it. So it's all about D at this point, and Lancaster and his boys terrorizing D at this point. So, yeah, and I guess she meets a demon as well. I don't know for sure. I think we're delving back into the horror aspect of this, which is good. And like Penn says there, take a look at suspendedfanimation.com for that schedule. That will be changed out hopefully tomorrow, if I'm not overwhelmed with shit. Like, share, and subscribe, as Penn says as well. If you're on the fence about subscribing, take a look at the very end of this video. You're going to see a video pop up here. And if you like what you see there, hit that subscribe button down there too. Up here is going to be Raised by Wolves, is what's going to come up there. Yeah. So usually whatever the last video was that I did is going to be up there. Yeah. So I know it's late for you guys out in the East Coast. I got a little tired dog that's passed out in the bed over there and probably wants to go out for one last walk. So I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Thank you to everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. And thank you if you made it this far in the video. I will see you again on Tuesday for Is It Worth My Time? Utopia. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, you may get sucked through a portal and go on a galaxy spanning adventure, which actually is not a bad thing because you might expand your mind. Thanks, everybody. I will see you guys on Tuesday. Until then, stay safe, be well, and have a good night. Thanks, everyone. Good night.